Hello CraftDee Family, and welcome to another tutorial by She's So Crafty. For today's DIY project, we'll be creating 5 neutral winter themed DIYs that are perfect to decorate your home through the holidays and all winter long. Now these decor items are super easy to make and use lots of $1 items and Dollar Tree supplies. Now I provide detailed step-by-step instructions to help you complete your own beautiful creations. Now I've provided the list of supplies and tools used to make all of these projects in the description box below. Now, I'm so excited to share this tutorial with you, but before we start, I wanted to say hello and welcome back to my amazing subscribers and visitors to my channel. Now, if you are a new visitor to my channel today and you love to create fun and easy DIY projects on a budget, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and also click that little bell so you will be the first to know when a new DIY tutorial is ready to share with you. So now, let's get ready to jump into all of these projects. Now the first project is a textured planter with winter greens. Now for this project, we'll start with one of these large round containers from the Dollar Tree, an assortment of winter greens, and we'll also need some pine cones as well. I'll also need a piece of styrofoam, or you can use floral foam. And we're going to start with that container. Now go ahead and remove the lid since we won't be using that. And what I want to do is take some sandpaper and I just want to gently roughen up the surface, and I just want to take that gloss down a bit. Now I will be giving this a stucco type of finish, so I'm going to use some of my chalk paint and some of this baking soda. So I'm just going to take a bowl and I'm going to put a little bit of that chalk paint in there, and once I get that chalk paint in there, I'm going to add just about a spoonful of baking soda at a time, and I want to mix this well together. And when you want to end up with this consistency of like cake frosting. So now we can add this to our bowl. So I'm just going to apply this with a paintbrush, and all I want to do is dab the mixture onto the bowl. Now this mixture is very thick, so you don't need to paint or prime your bowl at first, and it does create a really unique texture, and you want to complete this all around the bowl. And here is what your bowl will look like while it's wet, and you can continue to add more texture as you wish. So now we're going to sit that bowl down and make sure we get that inside exposed edge as well. So now that our bowl is nice and dry, we can enjoy that texture, and we want to bring it out a little bit. So what I'm going to do is take an old sanding sponge and this elephant gray acrylic paint, and I'm going to take my paint and I'm going to paint it right on top of that sanding sponge. Now I'm using this sanding sponge, it's an old one, it's a flat surface, and what I'm going to do is stamp that paint right onto the bowl. Now since it's a flat surface, it's only going to highlight those peak areas, and it really gives it a unique textured look. So now we can add our foam to the inside of our bowl, and I'm using some of this packing foam that I had left over from a shipment, but you can certainly use the floral foam as well. So I'm just going to cut a piece that will fit right inside of our bowl nice and snug and press it down into place. So now go ahead and grab all of your greens, and I have an assortment here. So I'm going to start off with some of these pine picks, and I just kind of took these from another arrangement that I got on clearance last year. Then I'm going to add some cedar sprigs, and I actually took these from a garland piece that I got from Walmart. And then I'm going to add a few sticks of lamb ear, and these are at Walmart as well, and they're $1 a piece in a bundle of 2. And just go ahead and fill in all of the gaps with more greenery as you like. And then I decided to add just a few bits of eucalyptus as well, and this is from Walmart, along with these berry bundles that I got from Dollar Tree. And finally, I'm going to add a few of these pine cones in there just to give it a little pop of texture and color. And here is what our bundle arrangement looks like. Now to finish it off, I'm going to add some of this ribbon that I got from the Dollar Tree around it. I love the neutral color of it, and it's from that ribbon collection, that Farmhouse collection. So I'm going to just tie this into a simple bow on the front. And here is our cute little arrangement here. I love it so much. And now when you place it on display, wow, it looks really great. Now I love all the colors and textures of the greenery, and the berries give it that nice little pop that it needs. And this bow, oh, how adorable is it? Now the texture really turned out great, and I love that you could just mix chalk paint and baking soda and make this look for so much cheaper. Now you can mix any color of greens that you like, just have fun with it. Now the next project is a candle set with wood tray. So we're going to start with 4 paint sticks that I got from Lowe's in a 10-pack, also some large craft sticks from Lowe's as well, and then I'm going to use some of these wood beads and 4 candles from the Dollar Tree. I'm also going to use some of this ribbon that I got on clearance last year, and this is burlap ribbon. And so we're going to start with adding our 4 paint sticks together, and we're just going to lay them out with the handles going opposite of each other for each row. Now we do want to make sure that all the printed side is up. And now we're going to take those large craft sticks, and I'm going to cut 3 of them in half. Now I'm just going to hot glue these into place, and I like to start by hot gluing one of the halves of the sticks at each end first. And then I'm going to take the remaining 4 halves, and I'm just going to space them out evenly in between. And now we have 1 solid piece. Now we could take 6 of those beads. Now these are 20mm size beads, and I did get these from Amazon. So I'm just going to apply 6 of them to the bottom, evenly spaced, and I'm going to apply them with hot glue. And here are all of our beads nice and secure into place. Now, if you're unable to get the beads, you can also use Dollar Tree wood cubes or even the Jenga blocks. So now to finish my wood, I'm going to use a mixture of water and this nutmeg brown acrylic paint for a stain. Now, I usually use my Jacobian Minwax stain, but I wanted to show you guys that you can really use an acrylic and water mix for your stain as well, and I wanted a lighter color for this project. So this is really easy to mix. It's about, a couple of drops of paint to a couple of tablespoons of water, and it really turned out nice. Now we're going to set that to the side to dry, and we're going to start working on our candles. So go ahead and remove all of the plastic encasing off the candles. Now we're also going to use some of this burlap ribbon. Now we can use the regular burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I had this wide one on hand, but we're going to cut a length that would wrap around 1 candle. Now I'm going to take this, and I'm actually going to be cutting mine in half because it is too wide. So I'm going to go ahead and fold it in half to create a cut line and cut it right down the center. And then make sure you cut off those wired edges as well. So now one of our candles will be double high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stack those up, and I'm simply going to tape them together with some clear Scotch tape right down the center. Now these ribbon will be wrapped around the middle of them. So what I'm going to do is I wanted to create a little frayed look. So I'm pulling off several strands on each side of that ribbon just to give it that nice little frayed edge look. Now to even up our frayed edge, I'm just going to take my scissors and clip it nice and even. Now once it looks very good and it's good to go, we're going to go ahead and take our hot glue, and I'm just going to hot glue those ends into place. Now we're going to repeat this for our smaller candles as well, and of course we'll remove a little bit more, and it'll be the same width, but we're going to need to trim that down. So instead of trimming them manually, I decided to go ahead and take my mat and trim them with my rolling cutter, which would make it nice and easy. Now the Dollar Tree does have their version of this rolling cutter and cutting mat, so if you happen to get some, you should try that out. It really works well. So then we're just going to wrap those pieces around our smaller candles and then hot glue those into place as well. So now all of our candles are nice and wrapped. So now I'm going to take a few pieces of this frosted greenery and I'm going to hot glue one of these frosted greenery pieces in the center of each candle. And once that's done, I'm going to take some of this white berry garland that I got from the Dollar Tree and I'm just going to wrap it one time around the candle and twist it in the back. Since it is wired, it'll be nice and secure into place. Go ahead and clip those ends and there you go. Now once all of your candles have those berries, I'm going to add some of these mini pine cones and I am just going to apply one of these mini pine cones on each side of that frosted greenery piece. And then to give it a nice frosty winter look, I'm just going to lightly dab a little bit of that white acrylic paint on those pine cones. And here are all of our candles, nice and completed. So our tray is dry now and we can just lay our tray out. We're going to grab a few full pieces of some of that frosted greenery I had left over and we are going to stage that tray with the 3 candles. And here is what it looks like. Oh my goodness, I love how this turned out. Now I think these candles perfectly fit into a winter theme with the pine cones and the frosted greenery. It really looks nice and cozy. And I love how the beads look like the perfect little feet for this tray. You would never know that this was just some paint sticks and it really does have a high-end look. Now project number 3 is a winter themed wreath. Now for this project I am going to use a piece of white foam board from the Dollar Tree and I'm also going to use some of these wood snowflakes and some snowflake ribbon that I got from clearance last year, as well as a bundle of greenery. Now I'm going to take my protractor this time and I am going to, not protractor, compass. Yeah, compass. I'm going to take it and I'm going to make a 10-inch circle on my foam board for my wreath. And then I'm going to go in and I am going to take a 1.5-inch smaller circle on the inside. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut it out with an X-Acto knife. Now I'm only cutting this wreath form out because I do not have any 10-inch wire forms. And I'm just showing you an alternative way that you could use your foam board for a wreath form if you do not have a wire wreath form. So now I'm going to take some of that burlap snowflake ribbon and then I'm going to start hot gluing it around my foam board wreath form, and I want to start wrapping it around in an angle. Now if you wrap it in an angle, it seems to have more coverage and you'll use less ribbon. Now as you wrap this around, you want to wrap it around 2 or 3 times and then go ahead and just secure it with hot glue as you go randomly around the circle. Now once you get to the end, just go ahead and trim it nice and even and fold those raw edges under and hot glue them into place. So now I'm going to take one of those wooden snowflakes and I'm going to take some leftover acrylic water mix and I'm going to just go ahead and stain this to match the other items in this DIY. And then once it dries, go ahead and take some jute twine and I want to tie a double knot onto the end of that snowflake, trim it down, and then secure it in place with a little hot glue. Now this will be a snowflake that actually hangs in the middle of my wreath form, so we're going to set this to the side until we finish adding the greenery. So I'm going to use a couple sprigs of cedar on this wreath and I'm just going to apply them into place. Now once those are nice and hot glued down, I'm going to take some of those frosted pieces of greenery right on top of that and I'm just going to hot glue those in place as well. Now I'm going to be adding a couple pine cones here, but in order to make sure it's nice and centered, what I'm going to do is I am going to add a little double bow that I created from that same ribbon and I'm going to put that on first. And then I'm going to add one of the pine cones on each side of that bow. Now once that is all secure, we can move on to adding our snowflake in the center, and we're just going to make sure it's nice and even, and we're just going to hot glue that string right on the back of our wreath form and let our snowflake dangle down. Now you add a loop to the back, and all you can do now is go ahead and hang your beautiful wreath. I love how it turned out. Now this greenery adds the perfect pop of winter to this, and using the foam board as a wreath form, I love to do that. It saves money, and sometimes you can't find what you need at the Dollar Tree, so this is a great alternative, and it still turns out really nice. Now project number 4 is a wood snow display sign. Now we're going to need one full package of the large tumbling tower blocks, and we're also going to need a couple of these plastic snowflakes that I got from the Dollar Tree. So the first thing we're going to do is lay out our Sure Bonder silicone mat, and we're going to open up the package with all of our tumbling blocks. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my carpenter square that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to start to assemble 6 block sets. So I'm going to lay 6 blocks down, and I'm just going to hot glue those all together. Now I prefer to use the Sure Bonder wood hot glue, especially if I'm not adhering the blocks to anything else. It just seems a little bit more sturdy. So once we have our first 6 block set, we're going to complete this until all of the blocks are used and we have all of these 6 block sets. So now we're going to take 2 of the 6 block sets, and we're going to join them together to make a total of 12 block squares. And we're going to do this until we have a total of 6 12 block squares. So I wanted my squares to kind of stand on their own, so I'm taking these large jumbo craft sticks and I'm measuring them the length of our squares, and I'm cutting them down to size. And then I'm going to add hot glue to the bottom of that square and place it right down the center of our cut craft stick. And now you can see that our square is nice and self-standing. And here are all of our squares with the stands applied. So I'm going to take some more of that water and add more acrylic paint, because I will be staining these squares the same way we did with our tray. You just want to make sure it's nice and blended really well, and then apply this stain mix to the front, the back, the bottom, and the sides of your square. And then repeat this for the remaining of the squares and let them dry thoroughly. So now, while that dries, we're going to grab those 2 snowflakes, and I didn't want them to have that crystal clear look. So what I'm going to do is I am going to be painting them with a little bit of this white acrylic paint. So I'm just going to dab that paint onto the snowflake to cover that. I found that when you apply with paint strokes, it leaves streaks in the snowflake, so dabbing it on gives it a more opaque finish. Now that our squares are nice and dry, what I'm going to do is start applying the lettering, and I wanted mine to say snow. So I printed out these letters flipped backwards, and the reason for this is I'll be tracing the outline of the letters onto the blocks with the ink side down, and the ink outline will actually transfer onto the blocks. Now I use the AR Sina font in a size 125, and I also provided the letters flipped in a PDF form in the description box below for you to use if you like. So I cut all of the letters out, and then I taped them onto all of the squares. And then you can take a pen or an embossing tool, and then you can trace the outline of the letters onto all of those blocks. And now our blocks have all of the outlines on them. And I'm going to be using this white acrylic paint pen that I got from Amazon, and I'll put the link to this down in the description box below. And I'm just going to trace the outline on, and then I'm just going to fill in that letter. Now you can also use acrylic paint if you like. I just chose to use the paint pen. It's more convenient, and this one seems to be pretty opaque, so I really love how it works. And here is one of the letters all drawn on. So we're just going to repeat this for the remainder of the letters. And now we have our full word snow. Now for the last two pieces, what we're going to do with this is we're going to take those snowflakes that we painted and we're going to apply one to each of the squares. Now it's just a little bit too large, so I'm going to trim down each end and then fit them right on there and then just hot glue them into place. And now our snow sign is pretty much done, but I wanted to add a little bit more. I'm always changing things up. So I'm just gonna grab some of this green garland and I'm gonna apply some garland just along the bottom of each one of those squares. Just apply it in place with hot glue and then clip off any overage. And now that all of our letters have the garland, I'm also going to be adding some of these little miniature pine cones that I got from the Dollar Tree to the bottom as well. I'm just going to add 2 pine cones at the bottom of each letter square. And here are all of our letters with the pine and the pine cones. Now, of course, I've got to add that wintry look, so I'm taking some more of that white acrylic paint and just lightly dusting the pine cones and also that garland with the white for a snowy winter look. And now your pieces are ready for display. And check it out, you guys. I love it. It just looks so wintry and cozy. Now I love how this turned out, and I even really love how the stained blocks look with the acrylic paint. Now you can use any color that you want, and I think this really turned out great. Now the snow cones and the garland really give it a little pop of color that I was looking for, but overall it really looks wonderful. You guys have to give it a try. Now project number 5 is a log trimmed glass candle set. Now we're going to use 2 of these engraved kind of crystal-like glasses from the Dollar Tree and also a bag of these little log pieces. We're also going to use 2 of the votive size candles. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our glasses and we're going to take those logs. Now I want to open up those logs and I kind of want to weed out all the ones that are irregular and about the same size each. And we're going to start applying these along the bottom of that glass. Now we're only going to use some hot glue for this, or you can use E6000 if you like. Now we're going to apply these along the bottom of that glass, and you kind of want to rotate the different colors and textures to give it a more appealing look. Now once that's done, just go ahead and repeat this for your other glass. So I'm going to take some more of that green wired garland, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap that garland around the bottom of the glass in the middle of those little log pieces. Now just trim it down to size and then just hot glue it into place. And here is what it looks like. So we're going to repeat this for the other glass. Now once those are both applied, let's go ahead and take our acrylic paint and give it our snowy effect. You just want to lightly dust it with that acrylic paint all the way around. Now you can add some to the logs as well and also add some salt if you wanted to give it a more snowy look, but I think this minimalistic look is good for me. So now to fill our glasses, I am just going to add some of these white rocks from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to fill mine just to where the logs come up. And then I made 2 little bows of that little neutral ribbon, and I'm just going to apply that right to the front. Now all you have to do is add your 2 votive candles, light them up, and enjoy your creation. Oh my goodness, I really enjoy how warm and cozy this really looks. Now when I saw these glasses at the Dollar Tree, I saw those little crystal effects in the glass and I knew they would look great with the fire from the candle, so I had to try them as a candle holder. Now all of these looks today are so much fun to do, and they're actually really easy. You guys have to let me know in the comments which one of these cozy neutral creations was your favorite today. Listen, if you love DIYs on a budget, give this video a thumbs up and share this video with your friends. Make sure that you're following She's So Crafty on Facebook for the latest news, sneak peeks, and giveaways. Thank you so much for visiting and checking out my tutorial today. If you like videos like these and you don't want to miss the next one, make sure you're subscribed by clicking that subscribe button below and turning on that notification bell. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.